Coming on the heels of the recent urgent alerts by NINAS, we remember the Ruga alert by which we shut down the amendment targeted at so-called autonomy for local government areas. Then the 6-part alert in which we were looking at all the other game plans and, permutations, the things, the hidden things the enemy is doing to prevail. The alarm of today, the alert of today will be concerning the invasion and the conquest that is being driven. The caliphate invasion, the caliphate conquest designs. And we take our bearings from the attack on the train, the people abducted and the demands being made. We saw the videos making the video making the rounds of one of the victims, the managing director of Bank of Agriculture, who is from that part. He's from because there's Nigeria is now one huge battlefield divided into 2 parts. And it is that Caliphate Sharia part and the rest of Nigeria in the alliance of the Nigerian indigenous nationalities operating together as NINAS. Now, that kidnapped victim, that abducted victim from that train attack, came speaking in a video organized by the terrorists. What we are reading from what was said, because he said that their demand is not about money, and that the government knows what those demands are. And since nobody is willing to talk to us, in the kind of event it is, the president and the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should have been the one addressing us even on daily basis on what they are doing about the situation. But nothing is forthcoming several days after. And so we are reading the situation as best as we can, and it is on account of what we can deduce. We're entitled to that because we are the ones in that danger. We are the ones being threatened by this onslaught, by that terror group. And we're coming to this alert session of today from the perspective of our deductions. What are we seeing? What is our what can we perceive? What is our supposition in all of what we already knew before this new broadcast from their camp of terror? And so that question of making a demand that is known to the federal government, we are sure that people like Gumi, who used to be their state spokesman, whether he's still in that role or not, would know what those demands are. But our president certainly does know. He must know. If he doesn't know, he should tell us he doesn't know. But if they say that the government knows, and 3-4 days after nobody has said anything, we assume then that the government knows what those demands are. In the same vein, we saw Malam El-Rufai, the governor in Kaduna. We heard when he talked about going to 14 different countries to offer money to people who are coming in from across to kill people under his watch. Does that not tell us that Malam El-Rufai must be amongst those who know who these people are, where they are coming from, what their demands are? We allege that he must be one of those who know. And we know how close he was and he is to the ones in Abuja. And if we go back to Dr. Obede Mlafia and what he said about what they gathered from those people in terms of what is happening now, are those now the things happening? Did Mlafia not tell us that one of the governors in the north is the commander of So in all of that, somebody cannot pretend, people cannot continue to pretend that these things are not, were not said or are not happening. Or is it the Pantami that we know his connections with all of that? He's the one in charge of our database, documenting people who have flooded into our space, his own people, the Fulani, documenting them as Nigerians. And we saw the recent attempt at amending the constitution to, liberalize the, indigenization. What you just, after 5 years of being in an area, you can just be registered to become indigenous of the place. At a time, INEC will be conducting elections in the local government areas. At a time, the federal government will be, sending money straight to the local government areas. But we suspect that those demands will have to do with land and our sovereignty. Land in the sense that we've been told repeatedly by all of those who should have been managing the crisis, who should have been helping push back the armed forces, their commander-in-chief, President Buhari, the ministers, the defense people, the military people, all of those, the spokesman of the president, they've all told us repeatedly that if we want peace, we must give up our land. And our land in this sense is not one small patch of farmland. Our land here is our sovereignty. They already said that this place belongs to them. We saw the governor in Bauchi on national TV saying that Fulani from all over Africa belong here. And we know what Pantami is doing, how they are documenting them. We saw our president throw our borders open, compromising our sovereignty in the sense that all of those people who poured in to Nigeria at the time, people who already declared, in the conquest march they have been carrying out, there's no doubt that it's an ethnic cleansing operation that is being done. And when you ask, where's the federal government in all of this? Where is the military in all of this? You go back to General T.Y. Danjuma, who told us in March of 2018 that what he sees is a collusion with this invading force by the government of the day and the military of Nigeria. Let us put the two and two of it all together to see the danger of the fall that emerges, that we are being invaded in a manner that is self-evidently being supervised by the federal government of Nigeria. That is what we see. If anybody has explanations different from what we have, those people should come out now and tell us. Silence is not an option in this matter. Body language does not communicate anything than affirmation of the issues of the charges we are raising. But the people at the receiving end, those who are targeted for this slaughter, must now take responsibility for their own lives. The demand that has been made by the terrorists for the persons they are holding in captivity, and the articulation of that demand by that victim of that train, I will say victim in quote, because we are entitled to read all kinds of things in between. Is he an innocent victim of that situation? Has he become the spokesman of the people to now say the government knows, and he will be saying, yes, he may have been speaking under duress, but what if not? What if there's a scheme? What if there's a collusion at that level? These are the questions we must ask. And we are saying this not to entertain people. We are saying this that we are at war, and the people who are the victims, who are the targets of that enemy that is invading, seem to be distracting themselves with all kinds of things. Some are talking about the election in 2023. Over which country? The country that is being overrun, the country that people are being slaughtered in this number across the length and breadth by the same invading force. Then we come to why nothing has happened to push back this invasion. We see that our president, who had for long been life grand patron of Mieti Allah, the same Mieti Allah that proudly takes responsibility for the activities of Fulani herdsmen, the fourth most deadly terror group on the face of the earth. And that same commander-in-chief president, who already is their patron, grand patron, life grand patron, will dip hands into the treasury and take 100 billion naira, in our very view, to hand over to that Mieti Allah. Where did that money go other than to finance the operations of the Fulani herdsmen. We're establishing the connections between the people who are doing this terror and the government that is supposed to be, defending us from them or pushing them back from us, against the backdrop of the collusion alleged by former Chief of Army Staff General T.Y. Danjuma. So our interpretation of the whole situation is that it appears as a script playing. Looking at Afghanistan and hearing what have been said by the people who we are looking up to as our government, we saw the spokesman of the president not too long ago, I think, what's his name again, Femi Adesina, who says, look, you either give up your land or you give up your life, advising all of us to please give up our land so that we can have our lives. If there's a demand now that is not money, because they said that their demand now is not money. So we are asking very loudly, what is that thing that is not money being demanded by these terrorists who appear to be enjoying some collusion from the government of Nigeria? And if anybody was thinking that collusion talked about was in 2018, in this very week of April, in the first week of April, 2 times I saw with my eyes on live national TV, first on AIT and then on Arise TV, where a retired captain of the Nigerian Army who had left off from the military intelligence wing was telling Nigerians and the whole world on live TV that from his involvement, from what he knows, that the government of Nigeria, the military of Nigeria, has the capacity to cordon off this terror and take them out. That the capacity is there, the men are willing and able, but that there's a problem, that their commander-in-chief does not seem to want to solve that problem. That the commander-in-chief, our president, is the reason why the military, because he's also the one who has to, give direction, who is the one that should be leading the fight. So if he's the reason why the military that has the capacity to stop this is not stopping it, the Umar, I think the name of the captain is Umar Babangida or so, on AIT, today is 7th or so, this was 4th and 5th of April in 2022. Live national TV on AIT. Let somebody find out whether there was some captain retired, Umar Babangida, that went on national TV to say, from what he knew, from what he was dealing with in terms of offering advice both to the federal government, to the military, to the governors who have to manage the crisis, that there is capacity to solve the problem, and that Nigerians should be asking their commander-in-chief, their president, why that capacity is not being deployed, that the president is the reason why the military is not doing anything. And if you take it further back to the collusion that was alleged, you could see very clearly that there's corroboration of all the suspicions by people who are now involved, people who can tell that there's something wrong with the whole situation. And if this president, a Fulani man, is presiding over a federal government in which Fulani invaders are turning up, everything that can stop them is in place, but they are not being stopped. And even with the latest incidents in which the airport in Kaduna was struck, and then in 2 days the train was struck, the day after the train, they still came out to that expressway to block it, and then somebody in Kaduna was telling us they were just crossing the road. We're entitled to think aloud the way we're thinking now. But if anybody thinks that people are just going to fold their arms until they are slaughtered to the last, that's not going to happen. We have a sovereignty dispute declared by the indigenous nationalities of Nigeria to the south and the middle belt particularly, since the 16th of December in 2020. Within the context of that sovereignty dispute, all of what we need to do now, let nobody think that we are here wondering how we save our dear country. There's no country in that, there's no union, there's no Nigeria that we are concerned about now. We are only concerned about ourselves. The constituent components, the Yoruba are concerned about the Yoruba. The Ijaw are concerned about their land and their people. Our union is in dispute, and we will not be approaching this matter of what to do with the terrorists and their demand from the perspective of our country that has to be saved from terrorists we are establishing the linkages between the high command of the military at the apex level of commander-in-chief in what has become this terror upon the rest of us. And it's just not a passing terror, it is a terror intended at land grab. We see what they've done in southern Kaduna already. We see what they're doing in Hausa communities in the northern part of Kaduna. We see what's happening across the length and breadth of the country. The same set of people killing. And the people who have exclusive control of all the weapons of state are not doing anything at all to stop them. Matters are coming to where those who are being slaughtered are going to have to find their own answers. We wish it doesn't get all the way to that. But we have to raise this alarm so that people can know that this terror is not falling from the sky. There's a linkage with those who are supposed to be watching out for us, defending us from them. But if they are working together and there's now a demand that is not money, we're only saying aloud, let it not be anything that has to do with land. Let it not be anything that has to do with our sovereignty. That will be compromised if it has to be met. As long as it's not any of the two, whatever, if it is more cows they want, the people who put us in this mess and who are refusing to come forward to solve it in the manner we propose by our constitutional force majeure that lays out a framework for solving the problem. They're talking about the election. Those talking about that election, those going to that election who are not paying attention to these urgent issues, we pray they don't learn the hard way from the victims of this aggression. I think we'll drop it there.